Okay, so there are a lot of places where you can do the devil's tango. But one thing I will say is that doing it in your parents' room is probably not the best idea. But I remember one time when I was back in high school, well, my bedroom was not an option, and let's just say I had to go to plan B. No, not that plan B that you're thinking of, but a different one. But before the story starts, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And other than that, let's get straight into this crazy story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So today's story, like I said earlier, takes place back when I was in high school. It was my grade 9 year, and I'm not gonna lie, this was like the beginning stages of me doing the devil's tango with like almost every chick I ever look at. I know that sounds bad, and if you're an adult, trust me, I knew what I was doing. Actually, that's a lie. I didn't, but we can just pretend, can't we? Anyways, going on from there, I remember one time I was walking around my school and basically just hanging out with some of the guys. And then one of the guys ended up telling me, yo, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I saw this chick last week and she's like always in the mood. Like, it's actually insane. Now, when a girl's always in the mood, or that rumor that a girl's always in the mood, doesn't really make sense to me. Because, you know, as guys, we are actually always in the mood. So when a girl is always in the mood, it doesn't really make sense. Sorry, I said mood like 6 times there, but you guys get what I mean. So going on, I remember I was really curious and I asked him, saying she's always like willing to do the devil's tango, and he said yes. So at that point, I remember, as the homie he was, he ended up giving me her snap, and well, let's just say, of course, I did what I had to do and hit her up. Now, reminder, I was in grade 9, so since it was the beginning stages of my devil's tango phase, I won't lie to you, I was kind of just desperate for whatever walked, even if it meant doing the most ugliest chick on the planet. Maybe not the ugliest chick, because that might be your own mom, so who knows? Going on from there, I remember basically I ended up adding this girl and she added me back right away. Talk about being desperate. And then going on, I remember I ended up talking to this girl for like, I want to say like 2 hours, and instantly I remember she ended up messaging me saying, hey, I'm actually like down to come over tonight if you want. Tonight is what I said. And I remember I was kind of freaking out because I didn't know if my parents were going to be home or not. Now, I have strict parents, and mom, I know you watch my videos, so yes, I'm calling you strict, but I love you. I remember basically my parents were kind of strict and never really liked me having girls over. But I remember tonight was actually kind of a good idea because my parents were actually going to go on a camping trip with my little sisters. So I thought it would be a good idea for her to come over. So I ended up messaging her back saying, yeah, you can come over, and I sent her my address. And this is where, well, everything went wrong. I remember later that day, I ended up going home and hopping on my Xbox. I ended up playing with the boys online, and I remember in the middle of a game chat, me and them were talking about basically how I was having this girl over. And I remember my friend that basically already did the devil's tango basically told me everything that I need to know and how insane she is. Apparently she was like the master of it, before I became the master at least. But just to make sure, I wanted to prepare everything in my room to basically make sure that she was comfortable in it. So I remember I ended up basically doing one of the tests I always do to my bed before I ever do the devil's tango. And the test was to jump on my bed as much as I can before it breaks. Because, you know, if my bed can handle a bunch of jumping on it, obviously it can handle a girl going crazy on it. See what I'm doing? I'm not saying jump on your bed, but I mean, you never know. Just kind of measure the weight of the girl that you're gonna have on there, I guess. Going on from there, I remember basically I ended up going on my bed, jumping on it, and I remember as I was jumping, one of the parts inside the bed ended up breaking and my bed basically broke. And I started panicking because this girl was not that far out from coming over. So me freaking out, I remember I looked at my broken bed and think the couch is an option. But obviously, I don't even know if this girl would do me on a couch. So I remember I started freaking out even more and more. I'm like, okay, I gotta think of a better plan. I gotta, you know, think of plan B. And that plan B was, well, my parents' bedroom. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Why don't you just do it in your sister's bedroom? My sister's room's pink. And, you know, I'm not really gonna be pulling off the most manliest thing, doing it on a pink bed. I mean, I've done it before, but it's not the smartest thing. So I remember what ended up happening was I ended up basically going to my parents' bedroom, jumping on it a couple times, realizing that it's my parents' bed. Of course, it's gonna handle me jumping on it. And then that's when I realized that I heard a knock on my door, so I hid as many photos of me and my family as possible around the house and basically opened the door. When I opened the door, I remember I let her in and I basically started talking to her. She ended up saying how my house looked really nice, and I said thank you, and then one thing led to another. I'm not gonna lie to you, we went from sitting on the couch for 2 minutes to her instantly wanting to go to my bedroom. So I remember as she said, oh, like, let's just go to the bedroom, like this movie's kind of boring. I ended up basically standing up and walking her to my parents' bedroom. I remember when she walked in, she looked around my room thinking, wait, this is your room? Yeah. Why is there like a giant mirror with like jewelry on there? Oh, I like my jewelry, you know, trying to like, you know, flex. Is what I told her. I don't know. I was being really dumb and it was really obvious that it wasn't my room, but I guess she played it cool. So we ended up going on the bed and one thing led to another. Yes, we went instantly and I mean straight to doing the Devil's Tango. And this was the one time where the chick actually wanted to do everything. I'm not joking. I laid there like a dead fish. Kind of weird, kind of awkward, but I mean, I wasn't really complaining. I don't know. It felt nice not to do all the work for once. Going on from there, I remember as that was going on, I kind of like started realizing that she was really loud. And she was really loud to the point where for some reason, I felt like someone walked through my main door from like the house. I wasn't sure. My guess was that the bed was just making too much noise. But as you know, we kept doing it and doing it more and more. I remember looking to the side of like her arm and I saw that my little sister was at the door just staring me down thinking, what is going on in mommy and daddy's bedroom? And that's when I realized that my dad walked in and saw that I was doing it on his side of the bed. I love you, mom. At least, you know, I didn't do it on your side. Anyways, I remember from there, my mom ended up yelling and walking in as well, and so did my dad, and this girl was just majorly confused to the point where she said that she was just gonna leave, and she actually ended up just standing up and leaving. Like, she didn't even have her shirt on, and she just left the house. This girl has more confidence than, like, my entire future. But going on, I remember I started basically just sitting there getting yelled at and realizing that maybe my parents' room was not the best idea. I don't know. At the end of the day, what can you say? Plan B is sometimes the way, I guess. That kind of rhymed. Okay, so I'm not really a gullible person, but I won't lie to you. When you tell me that it's not your parents' bedroom and then it becomes your parents' bedroom out of nowhere, that's when things get really awkward. But what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So I remember this was my grade 11 year of high school, and I remember my friend one day came up to me saying, yo, Bubba, I was just curious, bro. Do you like want to come to a party that I'm having? It's actually like pretty chill if you want to go. And at first, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go, but to be honest, I really had nothing better to do on a Friday night, because what else is there really to do? So I remember I basically told him, yeah, sure, I'll go, but like, are there like chicks actually gonna be there, or is it gonna be a sausage fest? Because one golden rule I have about parties is that I don't like to go to parties where there's more guys than girls, because that kind of just ruins the whole fun of it. Like, what kind of guy wants to go to a party and, you know, just sees a bunch of guys? Like, unless it's boys' night, there's really no point. And then the guy ended up saying, oh yeah, no, trust, man, there's a lot of girls gonna be there. Trust. And I said, all right, bro. And then afterwards, I remember 2 days later, I ended up going to the party. So I remember it was Friday night and I got there and I ended up showing up with my Toyota Celica, the blue car that I had that I love very much. And I remember when I parked my car and I got out of it, I instantly saw there was actually already some girls outside of the house. I ended up walking towards the house and I kind of look at them and just knock on the door. And I'm like, what are you guys waiting out here for? I remember all three girls looked at me and there was one girl with blue eyes and blonde hair that just kept staring at me nonstop. But at the same time, she had a lot of cleavage out. So I'm going to be really honest. I was mostly looking at her cherries. Not really mature of me, but at the same time, I am a guy. So like, I hate to break it to you. It's kind of like common sense here. And then I remember basically my friend ended up opening the door saying, oh, yo, Bubba, you brought 3 chicks with you. That's fire, bro. And I'm like, what? What do you mean that's fire? Why? What do you mean? And then afterwards, we ended up going to the party and it was literally a sausage fest. And since I walked in with like 3 different girls, a lot of people at the party, which was like basically all the guys at this point, looked at me and basically were talking to me as if I was a hotshot. Now, obviously, right away, I got my pick of the lot, which was 3 girls. And I ended up talking to the girl that was staring me down the entire time, which was the girl with like, you know, blonde hair and blue eyes with the big cherries. And basically, I was talking to her the entire night, but I decided not to drink because obviously I was definitely going to leave the party and not be there anymore. So that was what my original plan was. I was basically talking to her, flirting with her, and then afterwards, I remember she ended up getting wasted. So me being such a nice guy, I ended up telling her, hey, like, how are you getting home? She ended up saying, oh, like, my friends were like gonna drive me, but like, I think they're gonna crash here, so I think I might crash here. I ended up looking at her, and I can tell she did not look like, you know, healthy to be like basically staying at my buddy's place. And I'm gonna be for real here, there's like 7 different dudes that are gonna be sleeping there as well. Like, where are these girls really gonna sleep? So I remember telling her, hey, like, if you want, like, I can drive you home. I haven't drank like 1 bit, and like, honestly, like, I was planning on dipping, but like, if you want, I could just drive you and your friends home. She ended up looking at me with her wide eyes open, and I remember her blue eyes were charming at me like insanely. And she literally said, oh my god, you would like seriously do that? Like, I saw your car coming in. You drive a Silica, right? Wait, you know my car? Is what I said. Because honestly, no girl ever knew what my car was. And running into car girls is actually very rare in this day and age. So I remember I told her, yeah, I drive the Toyota Silica. I didn't know you knew the car. She ended up looking at me and saying, oh yeah, like my dad used to have one a while back. I don't know. It's just something cool, but I like your car a lot. Yeah, sure. I'd love to go on a ride with you. And right as she said, go on a ride with you, I was so confused because I was like, I'm driving you home. I'm not taking you for a ride. I don't know. But basically one thing led to another and her friends ended up staying there hooking up with guys while I ended up driving this girl home. I remember we ended up getting my car and basically I was driving her home, and literally as I was driving her home, I remember she ended up telling me, hey, like, I don't know if you like want to come in, like you can like come inside after like and go to like back to my place. I'm not gonna lie, she was wasted. And one golden rule I have is that when a girl's wasted, don't do anything to her. Like generally don't. Like I'm sorry, like I get it, like, you know, she's inviting me and like, you know, she's giving full consent to go to her place and do the devil's tango. But at the same time, you gotta understand that in this day and age, like you never know what's gonna happen. And maybe, you know, she was just talking because the alcohol was talking. You know, I just didn't want to risk anything. So I ended up telling her, hey, here's my number. If you really want to hang out and like, you know, hook up one time, just call that number. I'll be there. You know, acting like I was some sketchy, you know, ultra, like, you know, devil, basically. And then she ended up saying, oh, okay. And found it really odd. And then ended up exiting my car and leaving to go back inside. Now, this is how I initially met the chick. And honestly, I didn't think anything of it because I ended up dropping her off in an apartment building. And I remember when basically I was driving her around, she told me how she lived alone. So that was kind of like my cue to like, you know, be like, oh, okay, like, you know, if you want to hang out with me, just tell me, I'll come straight to your place and we can do the devil's tango. Because I thought she lived alone. But now this is where the story gets interesting and basically the part where you guys all wanted to see. I remember basically the next day I ended up getting a phone call. It was right in the morning, actually, funny enough. It was like 8 in the morning. And I wake up and I literally answer the phone going, oh, hello? And I literally hear the girl's voice saying, hey, is this Bubba? I end up saying, oh yeah, like what's going on? And then she says, oh, like I just want to say like thank you for giving me so much respect last night. Like I had such a good time with you, and like honestly, like I definitely want to see you again. You're really awesome. And at this point she was basically complimenting me, which I mean, don't get me wrong, I have really a lot of unspoken riz, I guess, but it got to the point where she was complimenting me so much it got pretty awkward. So I ended up telling her, oh yeah, like, you know, if you like want to hang out, I'm down. And then that's when instantly she jumped right at the opportunity and said, oh, like, do you want to come over tonight? Tonight is what I said. And she's like, yeah, just like come over, you know, we can have some wine, I can make food. And I'll tell you one thing about me that I think all guys can agree with. If not, I mean, you know, everyone's different, but the fastest way to my heart is through my stomach. Like if you get to my stomach and go through it, you're going straight directly to my heart. So I remember when she said food, I got excited and I basically told her, oh yeah, like I'll show up tonight, I'm down. And then basically the day went on, I ended up playing Call of Duty with the boys since it was a Saturday night, and then one thing led to another. I ended up getting my blue car and driving all the way back to her apartment. I remember when I got there, it was a pretty like nice place. It was a pretty new building actually, and it was really cool. She had a pool, there was a sauna, there was a steam room, basically like everything that you would want to live into. But then I remember when I ended up going upstairs to her place, the apartment looked really weird. It seemed like that only one person could live in it because it's so small, because it was only like a 2-bedroom apartment, but at the same time the other bedroom was literally just like empty almost. It was super weird. I found it odd. So I remember I asked her, yo, so do you actually like live here by yourself? And then she said, oh yeah, like I live here on my own. Like my parents like pay for like the apartment, but like I live here by myself. My parents like to go like sailing overseas a lot and stuff. They're like, you know, the rich and stuff. Like my daddy owns the building. Huh? Is what I said. I got super confused from that sentence, but basically I remember me and her, we ended up drinking wine, and then afterwards we ended up basically hanging out and eating steak that she made. She made steak, guys. Like holy cow, she really wanted to impress me at this point. And then that's when it happened. We sat on the couch and then we ended up doing the devil's tango on the couch. But then she said, oh, like, can we move to the bed? So when we ended up getting up, we moved over to a bedroom. And I remember when we walked into this bedroom, I found it super weird how there was like suits and like, you know, tuxes basically like in another closet. I found it weird. So I just, you know, kept doing it with her. And, you know, we kept doing the devil's tango in her bedroom. And then this is where things get really weird. The next minute, I hear a door open and the light turns on that we're in. And then I just see an old guy with his old wife basically looking into the room saying, what is going on here? Why are you doing this in our bedroom? Your bedroom? I thought she lived alone, is what I said. And afterwards, I remember getting up and putting on my underwear and putting on my clothes as fast as I can because I'm super embarrassed. And then since we were in an apartment building, I couldn't like, you know, jump off the balcony to get out because I'd be like, you know, basically flying like 6 different flights of stairs. So I remember I basically ended up running through the entire apartment, getting my stuff and basically dipping. I dipped so quick and ran down down like 20 flights of stairs because she lived on the 20th floor in this apartment building. And basically, I got in my car and drove away. She ended up calling me right as I was in the car, and she's like, hey, like, don't worry about it. Like, everything's fine. Like, my mom's not mad at you, nor is my dad. And I'm like, I thought you lived alone. I don't know. She made it super weird, but basically, all I'm gonna say is that things did not get better. And yeah, let's just say her dad hated me ever since. And honestly, I don't know. I ended up just blocking her number and just never talking to her again. Because what kind of girl lies about living alone? Like, I'm serious. Like, why, bro? And when me and my girlfriend went upstairs to the parents' bedroom, I remember we saw the door slightly opened. And when I took a peek, you guys do not want to know what I saw. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to a super insane story. So today's story actually all takes place back in my grade 9 year. Now, in grade 9, if you guys don't know, I actually had a girlfriend, and this girl was actually really cute, but at the same time, she was super clingy. If you guys don't know what clingy means that she was really always trying to get my approval on everything, and she kept flirting with me, and she kept basically being, well, nearly obsessed with me. Obviously, for most men, this wasn't a big deal, but for me, it was. And I remember she would always want to stay near me and by my side, even throughout high school. Like, I am not joking. I think every day since I started dating her in high school, she would be there like 80% of my day and always by my side, which gets really annoying, especially when you're trying to hang out with your friends. I remember one time though, she ended up actually walking up to me and she ended up telling me, hey Bubba, I was just wondering, my parents said it would be cool if I could invite you to family dinner. So like, is it cool if you do come over? Like, please? I remember I didn't really want to go because, to be honest, like, this was me in grade 9. Like, this was just any basic high school relationship. And let's be real here, guys, most high school relationships don't last. But me, I remember I felt bad, and I remember she kept looking at me straight in my eyes, and I didn't really know what to say. So I ended up looking away and basically saying, okay, well, to be honest, I'd rather not go, because, like, I don't know, I don't think I'm ready to meet your parents yet. By the way, I was only dating this girl for like 3 months, so this was like a month in our relationship. I remember she got really upset when I said no, basically, and she ended up walking off for the first time, which was kind of insane. But me thinking that, you know, she would get over it, well, I was severely wrong, because what ended up happening next, I swear, was really just weird. Because I remember one time I was sitting in the school cafeteria with me and the boys, and we were just all talking about some video games that we wanted to play when we got home, and out of nowhere, my girlfriend ends up walking up to me, going on her knees and begging me to come over. Like, I am not joking. She was on her knees saying, Bubba, please just come over. I really want you to come meet my parents, please. It'll be super exciting. I promise you'll have a good time. I remember when she did it in front of my friends and everything, I really had no choice and was basically peer pressured to say yes. So that's what I did. I ended up saying, yeah, sure. You know what? I'll come over. Okay, I'm down. And when I did, I remember this girl jumped up for joy and she was super happy. Now, obviously, me agreeing to this was actually a severe regret. And I won't lie to you, I was super stressed out because this would be like one of the first times where I actually meet a girlfriend's parents, which is never easy for someone. Later on that day, I remember when I got home, I ended up getting text messages back to back from my girlfriend telling me how excited she was that I was meeting her parents. And me, I didn't really know what to do, and I didn't ask my parents for advice because at the time they didn't know I was dating anyone. So I remember when it became around dinner time, I ended up telling my parents that I would just be downstairs and I didn't want to do anything, when in reality I snuck out my window, got on my BMX bike, and actually rode down to her place. When I rode down to her place, I remember I ended up actually just knocking on the door, and her mom answered, and her mom looked at me saying, oh, so you must be the boyfriend. Yeah, hi, is my girlfriend home? Oh yeah, she's home, of course. Here, come on in, we're about to have dinner. And when I walked in, I remember my girlfriend was freaking out, super excited that I was there, and on top of that, we all ended up sitting at family dinner. Now, me sitting at family dinner with a girlfriend's parents, usually what you expect is these two parents interrogating you and basically trying to figure out who you are. But this family dinner was none of that, because I remember as I was sitting there the whole time, the father and mother of my girlfriend kept flirting with each other across the kitchen table. Like, it got to the point where they started biting their lips very, well, disgustingly, and I won't lie to you, I almost couldn't eat from how weird it was. I remember I ended up looking at my girlfriend and she ended up basically telling me that this was normal somehow, which makes no sense to me because, like, when you bring your boyfriend for the first time over for a family dinner, don't you expect to get interrogated? Like, I was expecting a whole shebang, but I guess not, because the only banging that ended up happening was, I remember after dinner, me and my girlfriend, we ended up going downstairs, and right away we ended up basically sitting in her bedroom watching a movie, which ended up leading up to me and her doing the devil's tango. And boy, when I tell you what happened next, you guys are going to be shocked, but not as shocked as me seeing that 84.6% of you guys aren't subscribed. So I would highly just press that subscribe subscribe button if you enjoy these stories. But going on with the story, I remember as me and her were in the middle of doing the Devil's Tango, I ended up hearing a super weird noise upstairs. Now this noise, I didn't know what it was, and I kept basically like, questioning what it was. But at the same time, I noticed that the noise that was coming into the room wasn't from actually our room. So as I'm looking around in the middle of the Devil's Tango, I remember I ended up basically seeing a vent above my girlfriend's bed where there was weird noises coming out of. I ended up basically getting super annoyed from the noises, and I ended up laying down beside her, wearing absolutely nothing, by the way, and questioning her, saying, "Yo, babe, I'm just curious, what's that noise?" "Oh, that's probably just my parents upstairs." What are they doing up there?" "Oh, just don't worry about it. Here, let's just keep going. I'm not done yet." "No, babe, I'm actually curious. Like, what's going on up there?" "Babe, why are you so curious?" "I'm just wondering." And right after I said that, a loud crash ended up coming from upstairs, and at that moment, I got worried. I remember I ended up putting on my pants and underwear on, and I was shirtless, by the way. I ended up going out to the hallway and actually going up the stairs to see what was happening. As I was heading up there, though, my girlfriend was right behind me, and she was just making sure I was safe, but she kept telling me over and over to basically not annoy her parents and doing whatever. But me, I was so filled with curiosity and actually super worried about the loud crash that I heard from earlier. But once I got upstairs and I saw the door was slightly open, this was the moment of my biggest regret, because right as I ended up hearing a loud noise and I ended up hearing some moaning coming from the bedroom, I ended up slightly opening it, and right as you know it, I saw both of her parents doing the Devil's Tango. And it was one of the most disgusting sights to see, because her mom was like, well, I want to say overweight, and her dad was like, well, a pencil. So me seeing this giant woman on top of this tiny man that was smaller than I was at the time was actually very concerning. And when I was looking at them and I saw them doing the Devil's Tango, I ended up basically like staring, questioning what in the world am I looking at? But right as I was staring at them, out of nowhere, her dad saw me at the door and starts freaking out, saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry you have to see this." And out of nowhere, they both like basically ended up getting clothes on as fast as possible. And then all of us ended up going to the living room and having a sit down talk about basically the safety of how you should be safe during the Devil's Tango. It was one of the most awkward conversations because at the time there was two couples in the house doing the Devil's Tango. But boy, will I say it was the most embarrassing thing I ever had to go through. But at the same time though, the secret of not getting walked in on is following for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.